fun. I hope you all are doing amazing and that your day is full of expansion and growth. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you all.
Yes, and thank you for filling in the silence. Oh, I love that. Okay.
I was like,
exactly.
Well. Yeah.
So let me do something here for just.
And that is our special message to you all in Empath Unicorn Academy. No one else gets to see it.
That's right, because this is going to be just for the members in the group that get to see the little guys. Because yeah, and that's it. Nobody else gets to see it, or them.
Yeah.
Him, actually. And I'm thinking I'm gonna just call him James just for the time being, because that one was born at 12:01, which happened to be on my husband's birthday, May 16th. And he was already sleeping at the time, of course. But that was the last one that came out and waited to be born on his birthday. So I'm like, we'll just call him James, of course, just for ourselves. But when it comes to time for them to go, I'm not going to be naming them.
Yeah, it's probably better that way anyways.
There we go. We're going to start recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Heal the Unicorn podcast, which is actually streamed live and recorded podcast into our Facebook group, Empath Unicorn Academy, for women, for females who are on their journey of self-mastery and want or perhaps need a safe space to heal through their growth, heal through their struggles, heal through their brokenness, even though I don't believe anyone is broken. But I use that word because we all understand that word, and we can really feel and connect with that word, brokenness. So even the strongest of us need a moment to breathe and heal. What we do here is we cover a variety of different topics that discuss healing, spirituality, consciousness, personal growth and development. We give a whole bunch of tips and tricks and hacks towards that self-mastery journey that we are each on. We especially discuss the uncomfortable topics that no one wants to talk about. And those are the things that are within us, within all of us. And let's just grow together. Embrace the best us that we can be and get our shit together in the process. So today we have a very interesting topic, which I feel like goes very well with where we are all finding ourselves right now. And where we're all finding ourselves right now is that moment of, waking up from the winter season and stepping into the summer season, because the spring was like really, really short. I don't know how the spring was in whatever country you're in, but here it lasted for a couple of weeks, and now we're practically getting into summer already. So the topic today is, what about me? How to get our loved ones to acknowledge and validate me. Because we all want that. We all want people that we love and care for to give back what we're giving them. So how do we all do that? We do it in little increments, in little steps, but it starts with you, with each and every one of you. Because if we are looking externally, which this topic is indicating that, how do I get them to acknowledge and validate me? How do I get them to do that? How do I get them to give me what I want? And I want to flip it on its head and talk about that. It's not about them giving you what you want. It's about you giving yourself what you want. And then once you believe that what you are giving yourself, you deserve, everybody else will start tuning into that frequency, and it will just happen naturally, where you will get the acknowledgement for who you are and for the things that you do. You will get the validation for who you are and what you do. You will feel heard. You will feel seen, because that's what we all want. We all want to be noticed. We don't want to be, kind of like blurred in the background, that nobody knows who we are, nobody hears who we are, nobody hears what we are and what we do and how we do things, and how we are trying to be the best version that we can possibly be. So it just starts with you. It does. So Bethany, I see a lot of nodding, and I know you got a lot of wisdom and experience to add. So I would like to give you the floor, so to speak.
Okay.
Share with us.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone. I love what you said. Honestly, you were hitting the nail on nail on the head. Like, what I was gonna say is exactly what you were saying. Because I feel like like you're saying, we all want to feel acknowledged. We all want to feel heard and get the validation, and we want to be seen. We want to be loved. And for me, I found that the best validation, and to start the process, like you were saying, is to look within, go to yourself. Because I found that when I heard, seen, and loved myself, the external validation came naturally. It just automatically flowed. Before I did that, I didn't know how to hear, see, or love myself. So how was I expecting others to be able to know how to do that too, the way I wanted it, even though I didn't even know how that was? So having that question of is this really what I want, is also can help you, because you can figure out is a certain way isn't helping you be seen. It's not helping you be heard. Maybe a different way is for me, an example I would have to say was a big one, and I think it will resonate with a lot of you. It's when we post something on social media and we get the comments, and let's say it's a picture of ourselves, or of ourselves, or your family, or something you created, and you're getting all these comments like, oh, that looks beautiful, or you look beautiful, you look so pretty, and you're just like, oh yes, it makes you feel good. But that is only going to be momentarily, because you're getting it from someone else. And sometimes that feeling can be very addicting, because you're only getting it from someone else and you're not getting it from yourself. You're not getting it from within. So think about you flipping the script and you telling that stuff that you want to hear from other people to yourself. And maybe take a picture of yourself, have it in front of you, and say all the things that you want someone else to tell you, oh, you look beautiful, you look so good, just, and it's different for everyone. Maybe someone wants to hear that they have trouble gaining weight, and they got some weight gain and they're super excited about it, and they want to hear from someone else. But if they would have stopped and just congratulated themselves, being their own cheerleader. Be your own cheerleader, validate yourself. That's really what I'm getting at, because a lot of the times we chase the external. We're hoping someone else can give it to us. It's we're searching for that magic pill that's going to help us feel these things of being heard, seen, and loved. But in all reality, if we just take a minute and be here in this moment and do self-assessment and figure out what we want to hear, what helps our heart sing, what helps boost our confidence. For me, it was being called beautiful more than anything. And so I just started to call myself beautiful. I would look in the mirror and be like, you are beautiful. I made it be an affirmation. And I knew I was beautiful, but before I would want other people to tell me, so that I'm like, okay, yeah, yep, I am right. But it was so like I was saying, it was just so fleeting. It didn't stay. It's like the difference between happiness and joy. You have the joy that stays within and no one can break it and no one can take it from you. And then there's the happiness where it's just for that moment and something pisses you off and then you're not happy anymore because it changed your mood. That's kind of like also how external and eternal or inner validation works, because with the inner validation, it's always going to be there. The moment we start to feel down ourselves, we can pick ourselves back up and be like, no, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I'm my unique authentic self. And this is stuff I tell myself, I'm awesome. Like I love my passions and my gifts, and a lot of it comes down to affirmations, but they do help with that internal validation. And from my personal experience, I've learned that it's really helped. And now when I go on social media and I post stuff, I'm not looking for someone to be like, oh, you look so beautiful. Like now I'm just doing it because I want to share with what I do, with my process of like how my patterns, how I'm doing like different rituals, different ceremonies, what my family's up to. I want to share my wisdoms, my knowledge. And it's not just about me trying to figure out and trying to get this feeling that I'm chasing, Now I know I have this feeling within and I don't have to chase it anymore because it's there. And that's the best thing. Yes, it's nice to get that validation and that acknowledgement once in a while. And I will tell you, it is very nice. But when you solely focus on that, you're going to find that there's drains, there's lack, that you're not at your 100% unique, authentic self. And then when you focus on the validation from within, you find that for me, I'm a powerful, courageous, magical warrior unicorn. And that's when I'm feeling confident. And that's something I tell myself when I start to feel down as well, because it helps bring me back up. Another thing, dancing. Something I like to ask myself is, did I dance today? Did I sing today? Did I meditate? Did I go out in nature? And if I haven't done any of that or do my yoga, then I know that, okay, well, let's do one of those things, because then I'm going to be able to find my center, my grounding. And earlier I brought up being here, which is being in the moment, going with the flow, more focusing on what's in the present moment, being available to provide, as I get tongue tied, being able to provide help and support for others with healthy boundaries. Another definition that someone told me today on my yoga live video for being here was being free. And I was like, yes, that's an amazing thing for being here, because when you're here in this moment, you are free because you're focusing on the now, what's going on now. And that also goes into validating and acknowledgement. Do that for yourself in the moment now. Don't wait for others to do it later. Give yourself the love and the care that you're desiring from others. Give it to yourself. And then you will find that it just comes naturally, that you just automatically attract it and it just flows to you.
Yeah. And I want to keep going with that, because it's like we've all heard this. And if we haven't heard it yet, you'll hear it now. We create our own reality. So why are we going to allow somebody else to create our reality for us? Because what we're doing by expecting somebody else to give us what we want, we have to give that to ourselves. And once we give that to ourselves, what we're really saying to the universe and what we're saying energetically to people that we spend our time with, that time is the most valuable commodity that we have. Like, it's the most valuable asset that we have. And if we waste it and we spend it on hoping that, hoping he or she will see me and what I'm doing and acknowledge and make me feel heard and notice me and love me, then what we're doing is we're saying that we are not worth it. we are creating that existence, the reality of lack of it in our life. But the purpose of our existence is to not seek things outside of ourselves, but to seek and find them within ourselves. And then what's even better is not just to do nothing with them after we found them, because hide and seek, what do you do in hide and seek? Right? So this is not necessarily a hide and seek game, but you want to continue to play this hide and seek game with finding these things that are you. And the external world helps you to identify what is not you and also what is you. And by you focusing on yourself and giving yourself that love, that validation, that acknowledgement, seeing yourself, maybe for the first time, go stand in that mirror. Sorry, I'm going to say this in the harshest way, but because I had to say this to myself that same way. And this is what I said to myself: stop being a little bitch, go stand in front of that goddamn mirror, and look yourself in the eyes and say, how beautiful my eyes are, how beautiful my eyebrows are, without going and saying, oh, I wish my eye color was different, or I wish my eyebrows were thicker. No, no, no. Like, move that out of the way. That stuff does not exist. You are you. You are the unique unicorn that you were born to be, and everything else negative that is coming through, that is not the true you. That is not the real you. That is not the authentic you. That is somebody else's shit. That is somebody else's fears, worries, concerns, and insecurities. So why are you taking somebody else's crap that you don't want? And how do I know you don't want it? Because it doesn't make you feel good. It takes you further away from who you are. But that's not the goal of our existence. Our goal of our existence is to get the closest we can to our authentic self. Not all of us will be able to get to our authentic self in this lifetime, but the goal isn't to become the authentic self. It's to get as close as we can to who we truly are. And that starts with spending time with yourself, for yourself, doing the work that you don't want to do, answering those questions that are coming up for you, finding all the different ways of how you can grow and become a stronger person, and not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, in all areas. We're here to not be a master of many things, but be a master of one or two things. One of them is you, and the other thing is what you're doing that expresses who you are through your job or in your career. That's what we're here for. We're not here for our friends, for our family, for anyone else. Sorry, Bethany, I love you, but but we're not here for anybody else. We're here for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, when we go to sleep, we are alone on that pillow. Even if we're sharing that pillow with somebody else, we are alone in our mind, in our head, in our body. There's nobody else in there. So why waste our time and hoping and praying that we will get noticed and loved and validated by somebody else outside of us? Because what Bethany, you were saying, how are we supposed to know what love is if we don't give it to ourselves? How are we supposed to, and it took me a while to really understand that, but that's something that was planted in a lot of our minds as we were growing up. How can you love somebody else if you don't know how to love yourself? And that is very true, because if we don't know how to love ourselves, then we don't know what love is. We need to discover what love is within ourselves to understand it and embody it in such a way that that energy will be so loud that those that are worth it, they will come to you and they will add to you. But those who are not, they will dissipate, they will disappear. And that's what we want. That's what we really want. We just want all the goodness that this life, that this world has for us. but it's not outside of ourselves. It's within ourselves. And when you were talking about freedom, what I wrote down is that freedom exists in the moment. It doesn't exist in the past, and it doesn't exist in the future unless it is in the moment, because everything only exists in the moment, in the now. I exist in the moment because the future is not promised and the past it's already gone and done. So there is no going back. There's no time machine. And to be honest, even if there was a time machine, I would not go back. I would not go back. I would just let Yana be where she is at, because I trust that she knows what she's doing. Even though she didn't, she didn't trust in herself. And at some point, we all do need to borrow belief and need to borrow trust. And that's where your external validation can come in. And what do I mean by borrow? When you're feeling down, when you're feeling crappy, whether it's about something or someone or yourself, because at the end of the day, it's all going to be about you. If you're feeling crappy about a conversation you had, it's not the conversation itself, it's what the conversation caused you to express outwardly and brought out parts of yourself that you probably don't like or are not comfortable with. So it's not anything there. So blaming that experience, blaming that person is not going to add any value. All it's going to do is give your power away to them. That's all it does. So instead of blaming others and other experiences and, oh, that idiot cut me off and, I hit him with my car. Now all this stuff happened. I have to deal with it. Like, I get it. I understand. But past that moment, because in the moment, we all can go there. This is how we were all taught, and this is part of the program. But this quicker we shift to, okay, well, I'm not going to blame them, because I'm not going to give them the power. I'm the one that essentially wants to win here. Even though I don't, encourage everyone to be the winner and everything, but I want you to look at it in that way, that I want that power. It's my power. It's my experience. So why would I give that away? Why would I give this educational book that I just gained away to them when I haven't even read it? When I've just seen the cover of it? I didn't even read the back of it yet, because every experience is an educational book, a tiny little pamphlet where we just read the front of, and we get the gist of what it's about. Well, we don't actually open it and start reading through it. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that in that experience, not that it happened to me, I'm just using an experience that came to mind that I sense that somebody else might have gone through, or no, we all know someone who has gone through something like that. Or know someone who knows someone who knows someone, right, down the line, like relatives. So what does that mean? Is that within that experience, we get a little pamphlet, we get a little book, okay? And what we're doing is we're seeing, okay, accident, he's an idiot, I messed up, and he's to blame because he was in front of me, and blah, 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 blah. That's it. We just read the cover. But if we start opening it or just reading the back of what it's about, right? What did actually happen? What could I have done better? Where did I mess up, right? And then we can go back to the morning. Well, maybe if I spend the time with myself in the morning instead of rushing through everything, or maybe if I didn't sleep in, maybe if I didn't snooze my alarm, maybe if I had that coffee, maybe if I actually ate my breakfast at home and not while I was driving, right? Maybe if I had got enough sleep. There's a lot of reasons why we can actually see what could we do better. And then what happens in the process is, this is where self-mastery comes in, because now we're identifying what I can do better. How can I improve on being the best human being that I can possibly be for myself? Because it makes me feel great. It doesn't feel great blaming anybody else, because that energy transfers and we care, we're so angry and we just want to fight everything and everyone, and these things or we become a victim, and these things always happen to me. Why me? I'm just a magnet for bad things. Been there, done that. And I was a magnet for bad things because I was sending that energy out, and I had those kind of people coming to my life as well to validate to me that this is my reality. And then only when I decided that, no, this is not me. I don't like that. So only then I started recognizing, okay, well, if that's not me, then who is me? What is me, right? Who am I? And those are some deep ass questions that we all ask, and too many of us ignore and leave it unanswered. And it's great to leave it up to the universe, but if we don't sit down and actually do the work that we all need to do to uncover the unique and magnificent being that is inside of each and every one of us, even if we are the biggest bitches in other people's realities, that is not us. That is their reality. That's how they could see things. And we're not here to change anybody's mind. We're not here to convince anyone, because nobody needs convincing. You yourself need convincing and reminded that you're fucking awesome. You are a unicorn. And what do I mean by a unicorn? Unicorn means that you are literally one of a kind, unique human being that has never or will never ever exist again on any dimension. This is you. This is now, and there's no one else like you or will ever be. And the sheer fact that you exist now, no matter how crazy you think the world is and you wish you weren't here in the moment, you're here for a reason. In the time that you're here now, you're here for a reason. But the sheer fact that you exist is, I can't remember the number, but it's like 1 out of 44 billion chances that you exist.
That's amazing.
Like, I mean, there's a higher chance of getting struck by lightning than that.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying here is that anything that you want to see change in your external world starts in your internal world. Because what happens is that your energy, and it starts with the attitude, really. Because once you adjust your attitude and you identify who you are and where you are and how you are showing up energetically, your frequency will change. The frequency that you send out to the world will change and shift. Now, how do you actually get your loved ones to acknowledge and validate you? You gotta speak up. Like, that's the other thing I will add. Just because you're doing all this work doesn't mean that you have to be silent and just expect things to work for you and come to you. If something, there's a post that I'm going to be posting in the group as well. I'm not going to go into much detail, but it comes down to our values, our core values of who we are. And if something is affecting our core values or our existence, we need to speak up. We need to say something. And it doesn't have to be in a mean, harsh way. It can be done in a nice way, but practice speaking your truth, because nobody else knows your truth any better than you do. And nobody will speak for you. And chances are, when that happened in your life, when somebody spoke for you, you didn't agree with them. One way or another, you probably wish that you yourself could speak for you and say maybe the same thing that they said, but in your own way, in your own language that is authentic to you and not based on somebody else's translation of who they believe you are.
Yeah.
So I've said a lot here, and I saw that you took quite a few notes. So share with us what's been coming up for you, and on top of it is what would be, and however you want to start, what would be the one thing that you can give to our audience that they could take to the bank, if you will, that will help them to get that love and acknowledgement and validation from their loved ones, whether it's family or friends?
Well, express yourself. That is the one thing. Tell your loved ones what you want to be, how you want to be seen, heard, and loved. they can't read your mind. So if they don't know, they're going to do what they want, what helps them be heard, seen, and loved. So you could take that and figure out how to show it to others. But the only way ultimately for you to have other people do it is to tell them how you like. So there was, let's see, I have an example, a little story that happened to me. Well, not happened, but I worked through. I like saying that better because happened to me just sounds so like, oh, poor me. But something I worked through was actually, I believe I talked about it last week, but it goes along the same lines. So my husband, me and him got into an argument and he called me a name. And I didn't agree with that name. That was not who I am. And he said it out of anger, so he didn't really mean it. And I know that oftentimes when someone says something about you, they're really saying it about themselves. But I chose to express myself in that moment. And I told my husband who I am. I said, no, this is who I am. And that's what I think is the best thing you can do to find that validation as well, is to find who you are. And I know it's hard and you're probably like, well, where do I start? Curiosity list, dream list, figure out what you like, what you don't like. This is like an inner journey, an inner work that you have to, no one can do it for you. And so express yourself and find who you are. Those are the two things, because once you know who you are, you're able to tell, you're able to express yourself to others and let them know, hey, this is what helps me be seen, heard, and loved. For me, when my family does things around the house, that's when I feel seen, heard, and loved. When my family does something for me. Because it also goes back to, I feel like your love languages, we all have different ones. Mine are more acts of service, words of affirmation. Yes, I like all of them, but those are the two that really help me be heard, seen, and loved. So and yes, some of it comes down to that external validation, having my family be like, like, I love you, you're beautiful, like saying those things to me help me uncover who I am as well, even more, because I'm able to like, okay, well, if they see that in me, well, why am I not seeing that in myself? And that's how you can use external validation. You could use it as like a roadmap to find your own validation. Be like, well, that felt good. I want to do that to myself now. So another thing is to work through it. If anything comes up that makes you feel drained, makes you feel down, work through it, figure out why. As you were saying, as I was saying, self-assessment and expressing yourself and take your power back. And that's how you take your power back as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have written down. But ultimately, find who you are. And it took me almost 3 years now to find who I am. And how I started with yoga. I started with writing. I started with my curiosities. And I know we talk about this all the time, but it's so important because once you have your curiosities written down in front of you, you can finally tackle them because you have a list. You're like, oh my goodness, well, I want to try this now. You do it. Maybe you don't like it. Okay, try the next one. You do that and oh my God, I love this. And make sure to circle it so you know this is something I really love. This has really got my heart going. And so yeah, so I guess curiosity list, express yourself and find who you are. Those are going to be the 3 things to really get that external validation and that internal validation, because there's that balance. There's a good balance between the two.
Yeah. I love that you brought up the curiosity and the love languages. Those are very great points and reminders, because all of us, we know that I'll start with the love languages that we all know that we show and express our love differently than anybody else. And there's actually a book called Five Love Languages. I think there's actually more than five, but the five are the basic ones. I'm not here to tell you what they are because I don't entirely know what they are, but I know that some of them are like, for example, for me, my love language is physical touch, right? The hugging, the cuddling, the being closeness, the intimacy, right? And I'm not just talking about the bedroom. I'm just talking about, you know, cuddling, whether it's with puppies or with my kids or with my husband. And at a point, I remember my husband would be like, "Oh my God, you're so annoying. You're like a leech. Why don't you, give me my space?" Because he wasn't raised that way. His love language is different than
Yeah.
mine. So I needed to learn what his love language was and how he wanted me to, show him my love, because what I was giving was not the way, not the love that he felt like he needed to receive, because for him it was all about cleaning and the space and the respect, right? And the respect is through his castle. Take care of my castle and I will take care of you. Right? But I also needed to learn that what was said to me wasn't personal and it wasn't meant to be hurtful. It's just I was like a leech. Am I any different now? Absolutely not. I'm still the same and I'm not going to change because this is who I am. And I am done doling my light. If he didn't accept it, if he was not okay with it, then it just would not work out, because I am not here to change who I am. I'm here to embrace who I am and become the best version of who I am based on my standards, based on my expectations and nobody else's. And it took me time to get myself here, because for quite some time of my life, I tried to conform to who other people wanted me to be or who they thought I was. And that is the hardest thing to do. It's so hard to do and it's so exhausting, and it's impossible, because what we're also doing is we're losing who we are by conforming who we are, by changing who we are for other people. We're saying that I'm not good enough, that I am not okay being this way, that I need to be this way, I need to be that way. No, 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 no. Fuck that noise. We're here to be ourselves. And if those people, whether they're really close to us or not, if they don't like it, then that's too bad. They're not meant to drink this Kool-Aid. They're meant to drink some other Kool-Aid. So kudos to you, and don't let the door hit you in the ass, so to speak, right? But we got to put ourselves first. And like Bethany was saying, doing the work, sitting down and writing down curiosities. So that one is my next point. Well, first, with love languages, identify what your love language is. You can just go to Google and type in love languages, and you can clearly understand which one you're going to be. And then also what your partner, your friends, your family members, what their love languages. And the goal with this exercise is to first identify yours and theirs. And third would be, how are you going to help the person that you want to feel loved and validated? Because you got to give it to receive it as well. You can't just expect to get it. This is not take, take, take. This is give and take, right? It's all about balance. If you have too much on one side, you're gonna go like this. So you gotta find that balance. And that means that you got to also put the other person first once in a while, after you've taken care of yourself, after you overflown your cup. And then with that love language, you're going to do, once you identify what their love language is, you're going to find at least 5 different ways of how you are going to, and write this stuff down, how you are going to give it to them, how are you going to express it, how are you going to show it to them. And here's where I can't guarantee the result, but what we're looking for in terms of, what is the goal, what is the result that we want to get out of this, is that they will start to feel loved and validated themselves, and they will start looking at different ways of how they can help you to do the same. And this is where you can use your voice. Stop thinking of yourself as a tiny little mouse, and allow yourself to be a unicorn who does not shy away from being her true self, and speak up and share what you have just learned, the exercise you did. You want to share this video with them? Please go right ahead and do that, right? Maybe we'll call them out on some of their BS as well. Yes, looking at you, right? But then they will do their work on their own and find different ways of how, 5 different ways they'll also find how they can help you to feel loved and validated through your love language. Okay, so now let's move on to curiosities. That list of curiosities. When we were children, we were so curious about everything and anything. Everything fascinated us. We just loved waking up and existing and being and exploring and having so much fun exploring our curiosities. We never took the time to write these things down because these curiosities were right in front of our head. We always saw them and we knew what they were. And we continued to play in those curiosities, like the child that we were. And then we grew up and we became dull and too mature and boring and stiff and stuck up, and fearing a lot of judgment, fearing a lot, fearing the external world and how they're going to view us and see us, how they're going to take us and perceive us, how they're going to translate who they think we are in their eyes and their experience and their language and what's going on. But again, we're not here for them. We are each here for ourselves. So by now taking the time and tapping into your inner child, right, Ramses? Tell them, tap into your inner child. Sit with your inner child and say to yourself, if I was a child right now with my adult mind, again, this would be a challenge, right? If I was a child right now and I was wise as I am now, and I could do anything I could possibly do, what would those 10 things be? And just write down 10 things that you're curious about, right? It might be curious about what kind of cat this is. I'm not going to tell you. If you're curious, go do some research, right? Type in a cat that looks like an old washing board, curly hair, right? However you want to type it in, and follow that curiosity. And if it leads you into a rabbit hole and then you find yourself maybe going to get that cat if you like, you go and do that, right? Whatever it is that's coming up for you that you are curious about, I'm just using a cat as an example because he's here parading himself, but whatever it is that you're curious about, it could be plants, it could be music, it could be dancing, it could be writing, it could be maybe doing card reading for yourself. That was one of my curiosities, and now it's one of my passions, because the goal here is not to just continue to exploring our curiosities, but to explore our curiosities so that way they can turn out and be identified as our passions, things that we are really passionate about and excited about and love doing. And eventually we will get to that life experience that we all want, and that is feeling completely unlimited and free and not bound to anything or anyone, because that essentially is also one of our biggest goals. Every human being is here to experience freedom. There was I can't remember who it was. I wish I remember the name. That's, I'm like, I don't know, maybe just leave it and not butcher it, but I'll just tell you the story. I guess the name at the end of the day does not really matter because it's the story itself that matters. I'm just going to say it was Galileo as an example. It was one of those people who was very famous and was very, very known, and he spent most of his life in prison. Where the guards were mean to him, everybody was mean to him and really treated him like garbage. and he was very positive, and he was very, very, very wise, because then once he was released, what he actually did is he invited all of those prison guards and the prison, I want to say, owner. He invited them to his house to spend time with them. And it's like a normal person would think, oh my God, why on earth would you do that? Because those people, they made your life horrible and miserable. And his response was that if he didn't do that, he would still be in that prison. Like, he never would have actually healed and released through what he's gone through. What he's really talking about is forgiveness. Forgiveness that starts within ourselves, that he needed to be able to forgive himself and those that he invited, but the forgiveness needed to happen inside, and then bring them in, and then sit there and share a meal with someone who caused you so much pain and suffering, but he chose not to look at it that way. So from this story that is so powerful, I want to hear in the comments, what can you take away from that story? Because each and every one of us can take something different away from it, based on our own way of processing things and our own life experiences, because we all have someone in our lives who has wronged us. We all have. And some of us don't learn, and we continue to trust that person, and that person continues to screw us over. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So I'll use Oprah Winfrey's favorite phrase of mine, is that when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Don't make any excuses and any reasons for, their screw ups, because they're theirs. Don't take it personally, because it's not, I don't want to say it's not meant to be, because some people do things personal to us, but you are not supposed to be swallowing somebody else's poison. What somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. So if they're thinking of you in the ways that is not who you are, which I've had friends like that, and I thought I could trust them, I thought that they knew who I was, and then that they would completely turn around and talk about me as someone that they've watched on their crazy drama, female bitch cutting throat kind of shows, that was me. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's not me at all. So once I identified that, I had to let go of those people, so they're no longer poisoning my well. My well of water is clean and pure, and I'm not going to allow poison to come into my field. And the moment that we decide that we are no longer going to tolerate what we don't deserve, is the moment that things that we do deserve and tolerate will come in. And then the last thing I want to say is this: you are the author of your story. So don't tell anyone else, or don't let anyone else to tell your story for you. And what that means is, don't let anybody else speak for you, speak on your behalf, or stand up for you. You are the one that needs to be practicing that. If you have something to say, if you have something to share, you do it when you're ready with your own words. Don't let anybody else do that for you. Don't let anybody else fill in the silence and the gaps in your story, because only you know what that story is actually about and what it's like. So you're the one that has the pencil or the pen, and you're the one writing your story. Continue writing your story, and don't let anybody else come in and tell you what you're supposed to be doing, what you should be doing, how you're supposed to be doing things, and all the coulds and shoulds and stuff like that. That's somebody else trying to tell you your story for you. Tell your own story. That's it. Period. Done talking. Bethany? Go.
Oh man. Well, as you saw, I had to get up a couple times. It was a work through experience for me because we had Uriah, which he's getting older, so he's trying new things, and he was trying to get a drink for himself, and he made a big mess. But in the past, I would have handled a lot worse, and you guys would have probably felt the energy as I came back as like just angry. But I was able to stop, take a deep, be in the moment, take a breath, and be like, okay, he's just learning. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to get himself a drink, and I just need to direct him in the way that, like, for it during these calls, like, okay, well, grab one of your juice boxes if you're thirsty, you know. So it's just teaching him and expressing myself with it as well. And then I had my dog. We got a package, and she's very good at doing her job, but sometimes she does it a little, especially when it's just me and Uriah home. She gets very protective, and she's even more like, hey, like barking. So I'm sure you heard her barking. But these were all like these, I think, to help me grow, really, ultimately, to see my growth and to see my healing, to see who I am, who I've changed to be, because who I used to be was not who I liked. And now I do like myself more and more every day. I love myself more and more every day as I figure out who I am more and more. And that goes back to the validation, you know, finding who you are. And yeah, so I hope my getting up wasn't too distracting, but it is what it is being a mom, you know, and all the other moms out there. I know you know how it is, but this also shows you that you can do anything that you set your mind to. If I were to be like, well, I can only do these the podcast if I have a silent environment, you know, Uriah's with his dad or he's being taken care of, I don't have to worry about him, then I would have never done these videos in the first place. And that also, me being able to show you guys a real life, like this is me in real life, like this is just coming to you as myself and not hiding.
No filters.
Yeah, no filters. Like I have a son, he's 5, he's learning, he's growing, but he needs help still at this age. And that's okay, because at a certain point, he's not going to need that help. And it's like enjoying the time that I can help him right now and to help him learn and stuff. And yeah, and I'm helping him learn validation in that sense, you know. He enjoys, you know, hearing, you know, it's okay. Like, because in the past I would have yelled at him and got angry, like, why are you making these messes when I'm doing this? Like, what? And this time it was like, okay, next time grab this instead. You're not in trouble, because he started to get a little like upset. I'm like, you're not in trouble. It's okay. Just please next time do this instead. And directing him into a direction where it'd be easier for him at his age. Because, you know, 5-year-olds, you know, there's those blocks. As in you get older, you can do more and more. But right now he's, you know, has that 5-year block, and, you know, he's really, for his age, I'm proud of him. But that's besides the point. So as we get close to coming to our time, I want to I'm going to do something different with my quotes that I do. Instead of me picking, I'm going to let the universe decide what our message is as a collective, as a group, what we need to hear today. And I don't have my other journal. I'm going to do it differently, probably kind of refine this practice because this is new. But today I'm going to do it on my phone because I have 803 quotes to choose from. And why not start? So I have my album, and I'm going to start from the beginning. And I'm just going to look at the screen away from my phone, and we are going to pick one that way. Because why not? So I'm not even looking at my screen, and we're just going to go around, up and down. All right, now I'm going to pick one. All right, so this is the message from the universe. I am who I want to be. Be lighthearted and carefree. Remove your worries and be set free. You have the command key.
That fits right in.
Right? Message from the universe and from me. But, you know, this was the message that we were supposed to hear today.
We all want to be carefree. And what does that mean? Is like somebody says something about us and just going, okay, that's great. Thank And when I'm talking about somebody says something about us, it's in a negative way. You know, friends talk, friends gossip. The friends that I have, they don't, as far as I'm aware, because I don't care if they do. I remember there was one time that, and this is where a carefree example for you guys, a real life that I have gone through where, you know, um, I have two friends. One of them, both like to gossip, one way or another. Um, like to gossip. One would be very gossipy. One is the one that saw me as one of the women in her shows, and I was like, okay. Anyways, and then so here's what happened. I was talking with this one, the one that does a lot of gossiping. Mind you, it's been a while. Maybe she's already grown and doesn't do as much gossiping, because that's the conversations I was escaping. And, I wasn't really fully there anymore. And I would then speak up and stand up for the other person, because they're not there to defend themselves and doesn't like it. Doesn't like it, which makes perfect sense, because, well, you're supposed to be on my side. You're supposed to be my friend. Why are you defending someone you don't know? But they're not there. I can't say that or agree that this is how they are, because I don't know them. I've never even met them. I was never even given the opportunity, right? But anyways, the point here is that this other friend of mine, we have a very open relationship, in a sense that we can have conversation about anything and everything. And this specific conversation, was about how she was talking to one of her friends about me, and telling her friend that, oh my God, one of my friends, she's so optimistic, always so positive. It makes me so sick to my stomach that I can't stand that. It's so annoying. And she's saying that to me, right? Right. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, it's great. Thanks. Thanks for talking about me. Now your friend knows that you have someone who sickens you and who is so positive. So if she wants that positivity, she can come to me, right? Because you don't have it.
Yeah.
So, and then I tell this friend of mine who gossips about this experience. She goes, oh my God, she told you that she talks about you with her other friends? And in my mind, I'm like thinking, are you daft? Like, do you not think that other people talk about us? Do you think that you're so special that nobody talks about you? People are going to talk about us regardless. After watching this video, you're probably going to go talk to somebody else about me, right? Whether it's positive or negative, I don't care. I mean, of course, I want the positive conversation so we can have more people joining and listening to these conversations. But at the end of the day, that's not what I'm here for. I mean, I'm here for that, but I'm not here for the negativity. I don't care for that. I've learned to be carefree and not care about that. So that was my response. That, do you not think your friends talk about you? But that's such a normal thing. We all talk about each other because it helps us to understand ourselves more, and then understand our friendship with that individual more. Right? That's it. It does not need to be taken personally, and it was not meant to be personal, because if it was personal, she will come and tell me to my face that I think that you are optimistic and childlike, that not everything is rainbow and fucking sunshines and unicorns all the time, that you need to grow up, or whatever words, right? Then it would be more personal. But even at that time,
So like, have you tried it? Why don't you go try it?
exactly. And there was a conversation about, in that sense, where she told me that I'm very positive, that it's too much. I'm like, well, maybe you should try it and see if you like it. Try it on, put that suit on and see how it feels. So even that, I don't take it personally, because I'll use the mirror analogy, right? I'll use this favorite mirror of mine. This is actually a mirror, guys. It's a dirty one, so don't look at it. And then this side is blue. I left a little sticker on it so it stays blue. But the mirror analogy is, whatever somebody's saying something about us, what they're actually saying is about themselves, or something that they know that they have and wish it was more higher in the surface so they can actually access it. Talking about being optimistic. A lot of people want to be more optimistic and want to be positive, want to be carefree. And when people around them have that and they wish they did, it makes them sick. It makes them sad. It makes them feel crappy about themselves, because they're looking in the mirror. they're looking at me and they're seeing themselves. Because when we're looking at someone, we're not seeing who they are. We're seeing who we are in them, or who we could be, or who we wish we could be. But the sheer fact that we're able to notice something like optimism, that just means that we have it, because we can only see what we have. That's it. Like, we can only see what we ourselves have, whether it is up here, or down there, or somewhere surprised down that we just want it. We need it because we know and we can see how much easier it is to live our life feeling free and optimistic and carefree. There's a perfect life. Again, or perfect doesn't exist, but there's a life experience that I had gone through that most people, and even I had conversations with other people, they would say, "Oh my God, that's insane! Like, really? You think that way? Like, how?"
Mm-hmm.
How is really just through practice of, it's like
Reframe, rewire, like working through stuff.
there's that, and there's also the reminder of I am just a mirror.
Yeah.
That what they're seeing, what they're witnessing is not me, but parts of themselves that they like or don't like. So with this friend who was seeing me as this conniving snake that she's been watching on TV, what really she was seeing is herself. And the parts, and because she wasn't pleased with it, didn't like it, that really just means that she was seeing parts of herself that she didn't like, that she was expressing, but she was just not aware of it because nobody pointed it out to her. Right? And if you have friends like that in your life and you feel comfortable and safe pointing it out to them, then do them a favor and do yourself a favor and point it out to them, even if it means that the friendship is not going to be existing anymore. But the way that we all show up, about 90% of it, we're not fully aware or notice it. And it's important to get that external translation of how we are coming across to people, so we can then see and identify. It's like, okay, not question, is it true or not? Okay, because what they're seeing is what they're seeing. They're the ones that are doing translating. So then we can see ourselves, okay, well, what is it that I am doing that's causing them to feel that way, that's causing them to think that way, right? It could easily be that not responding or taking too long to respond, right? And it brings up their own insecurities, their own fears, their own worries about themselves, and it causes them to feel a certain way. Right? Or it could be talking too much, or it could be being too positive. It could be a lot of things. It could be a phrase that you said that was supposed to be positive, but they've heard it somewhere else, which was a negative phrase. And therefore, now they're hearing what you're saying and basing it on the previous experience. So there's a lot of reasons why. But the goal of that exercise would be, okay, if that's how people are seeing me show up, I'm not asking you to change yourself for them, but I'm asking you to identify, are you okay with it? Do you like it? And if yes, then don't change anything. But if not, then okay, then who do I want to be instead? How do I want to show up instead? What do I want to do instead? What would I say instead of saying that? Like rewiring or reframing. It's the same concept. This is what happened. It didn't work out the way that it was meant to, or the way that I wanted to. So what could I do differently? Change it and do it differently next time. So other than that, I'm starting to get a headache from a lot of what's the word when you my rants. Yeah. Of my rants, and a lot of like fire coming through for you guys today, because this is the topic, I don't know if you can tell, that I'm very passionate about, because this was one of my curiosities within myself that I followed, and it became my obsession. It's like past the passion, because I have a lot of passions, but I have a few obsessions that I like. What I'm obsessed about, and you know this, Bethany, is authenticity. And what that means is being myself, being true to myself, and helping others to do the same. Hence the word unicorn and Empathy Unicorn Academy. That's what unicorn is about, is being yourself and not giving a fuck about anyone else. Right? To a certain degree and extent, because I don't want you to trample everyone with your hooves. I want you to tiptoe and move around in the way that you feel comfortable and safe. And at the same time, take your space. Don't shy away from, don't shrink for other people. Here's another thing I want you to practice. Whenever you find yourself shrinking in presence of another, I want you to remind yourself, that's not you. You're not a horse. You are a unicorn. So instead of shrinking, and your body will speak for you. So right away, check in with your body and pay attention to how it's showing up. And it's often like closed, right? Or shoulders down. I want you to then stand straight, just like a Wonder Woman would, right? Stand straight, put your shoulders back, pop your boobs out, own the space, and go like this if you want to, and own the space and say, this is my space, motherfuckers. You go somewhere else, right? Give less fucks. I swear a lot sometimes when I get very like passionate, because for me, it helps me to express powerfulness through that language, because it's very colorful. And I feel like we as a human race have become too sensitive, and it is not doing anyone any favors. It is not, because what it's actually doing is it's causing us to shy away from our authenticity of who we are. And for me, it's me expressing myself with colorful language once in a while. But there's different tones that could be used with the language. So mine is the one like reminding you, just like, oh my God, shut up, stop your whining just for a moment, and borrow my belief in you that you can do anything you want, that if you want to get out of this darkness and come into the light, you can. Just borrow the belief that I have in you, and that Bethany has in you, that we have in you, that our group as a whole has in you, and then you will get there. Borrowing belief is something that we can all do. And that's okay, because in order for us to believe in ourselves, sometimes we do need to borrow it from somewhere else to allow ourselves to actually believe in ourselves. Because at that point, we might not be believing in ourselves at all. And that's why we're finding all the different places and cases, experiences of where we can borrow that belief temporarily. And we all did that as children as well. Riding a bike, perfect example. Somebody needed to believe in me in order for me to actually pedal my bike on two wheels. Because I didn't believe in myself. I watched my kids do the same thing. With my husband running with them, he has longer legs, so he could go faster with the bike than I have with my short legs, so it'd be a lot more for me. And I wasn't in the best shape when they were doing that, but they didn't believe in themselves. And when we don't believe in ourselves, we fall and we hurt ourselves. And then we look back and see, oh my God, right? Nobody's holding me. And then we drop. But then when we believe in ourselves, we borrow that belief from our parents. We're able to go much further than we would in our own. So that's what I want everyone to use as an example, is when you learned how to ride that bike, you borrowed that belief from your parents, or from your grandparents, or from your neighbor, or from your friend, or from your uncle or aunt, whoever was teaching you how to ride a bike. That you borrowed that belief from them in you. And then maybe within seconds or minutes or days or hours, however long it took you, you believed in yourself enough to fly faster than the wind and create your own wind when you were going on that bike. Same thing, same concept can be applied into our life now in all areas. So that's how I want to end it here. Any closing thoughts, Bethany?
No, not necessarily. I would like to read the quote again, just to refresh, have at the end. I am who I want to be lighthearted and carefree. Remove your worries and be set free. You have the command key. Remember that, live it, shine bright. You can do anything you set your mind to. It's possible. You just got to believe in yourself. Trust yourself. It's okay. You got this.
The word impossible has I am possible right in it. So you are possible and everything is possible, and go after those possibilities without shining light on anybody else, but shine it on yourself. So that is all. Thank you, Bethany, for being a very powerful and wise unicorn in in this podcast that we do together, trying to like even find words, because now I'm like powering down and got everything out that was fire, and now mama needs some fresh air. And some food to regenerate this energy. But other than that, thank you, Bethany. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening, and thank you for sharing with the person that you know is going to benefit from this information. And I want to close off with one offer, and that offer would be join our group. Go to our Facebook group called Empathy Unicorn Academy, which will be in the link below, and join our group and bring who you are to the group and to the table, and share who you are, and continue to grow and rediscover who you are, and express that in all that you do. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Until next week. See you guys there. Bye.